Here are two watches. Look closely. Same steel case, same weight in the hand, same green dial, same little crown, same date magnified under the same domed crystal. Both of them tick with a smooth, sweeping, mechanical movement. One of these watches costs around $15,000. The other one cost about $1,000. And here is the part that is quietly terrifying the entire luxury watch world. When you put them side by side, most people, even some professionals, cannot tell you which is which. Welcome to the age of the super fake. Not the cheap, laughable fakes you see on a beach towel with the name spelt wrong and a second hand that ticks and stutters. Those are dead. What replaced them is something far more sophisticated, far more dangerous, and honestly, kind of unbelievable. Today we're going to pull apart, literally, how a fake watch got good enough to fool experts, how much they really cost, and why the people who make and sell real luxury watches are more worried than they will ever admit. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you may never fully trust a watch on someone's wrist again. Let's start with the name, because it tells you everything. In the counterfeit world, the best fakes have a specific title. They are called super clones, and that word, clone, is doing a lot of work. A normal fake is somebody looking at a photo of a watch and trying to make something that looks a bit like it. A super clone is something else entirely. To build one, the counterfeiters do not work from a picture. They buy a real, genuine watch, a real $15,000 Rolex, and then they take it apart completely. Every screw, every gear, every spring, the case, the bracelet, the dial, all of it laid out on a bench and measured down to fractions of a millimeter. Then they reverse engineer each individual piece and manufacture their own version of it. The goal is not to make something that looks similar. The goal is to make something that is dimensionally identical. A copy so precise that the fake parts could in theory be swapped into a real watch. That is the difference. A fake imitates a watch. A super clone recreates it. And the materials are where it gets genuinely alarming. For years, the easy way to catch a fake was to just handle it. Real luxury watches are made of specific, expensive materials, and cheap fakes used cheap substitutes that felt wrong, wore badly, and gave themselves away. That gap is closing fast. The top super clones now use the same grade of steel the real manufacturers use, a hard corrosion-resistant alloy known as 904L. They use real sapphire crystal for the glass, the same scratch-resistant material as the genuine article, not the soft mineral glass old fakes used. The weight is right, the finish is right. The little details that used to betray a fake, the sharpness of the engraving, the exact shade of a dial, the way the light catches the bezel, have been studied and copied and refined over years. These are not watches assembled in a back room in an afternoon. They are the product of factories, real factories, that do nothing but this all day, every day, getting a little bit better with every batch. But surely you're thinking the movement gives it away. The movement, the mechanical engine inside, the hundreds of tiny parts that make a luxury watch actually worth the money, that has to be where the fake falls apart. And for a long time, you would have been right. The inside was always the giveaway. Flip a fake over, look through the case back, and you'd see a crude, wrong-looking motor pretending to be a masterpiece. Not anymore. The best super clones now copy the movement too. They replicate the specific architecture, the layout, the finishing, even the way the genuine movement is decorated. There are now reports from watchmakers of taking a super clone apart, examining the movement piece by piece, and struggling to say for certain whether it's real. Let that sink in. The one place that was supposed to be unfakeable, the beating heart of the watch, is now being cloned so well that the trained professionals whose entire job is to know the difference are sometimes not sure. So let's talk about money, because the numbers are the whole story. A genuine steel sports Rolex, the kind with a years-long waiting list that we've talked about before, sells at retail for somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000 to $15,000, and often far more on the resale market. The super clone version of that exact watch, reports put the best ones at around $900 to $2,000. Think about that gap. For roughly a tenth of the price, sometimes less, you can get an object that is, to the naked eye and often to the trained eye, the same watch. And it doesn't stop at the watch. The best counterfeit operations sell it complete. A fake box, fake papers, a fake warranty card, sometimes printed with the name and details of a real existing boutique, so that if someone checks, the paperwork points to a real store. The entire package, the whole ritual of authenticity that's supposed to prove a watch is genuine, has itself been counterfeited. The proof is fake too. Now, where does all of this come from? The superclone industry is not some scattered network of individuals. It is concentrated, industrial, and enormous. The overwhelming majority of these watches are manufactured in specialized factories, largely in China, in cities that have become quiet global capitals of high-end counterfeiting. From there, they flow out into the world through a web of websites, encrypted chat groups, and physical markets in certain cities where, if you know who to ask, you can be shown a back room, a hidden drawer, a phone full of photos, and buy a watch that will pass for real in almost any room you walk into. The scale is staggering. Counterfeit watches are a multi-billion-dollar shadow industry, and the superclone sits at the very top of it, the premium product of a criminal supply chain that mirrors almost perfectly the legitimate one it's stealing from. So how do you protect yourself? Because this is where it actually matters for you. If superfakes are this good, how does an ordinary person avoid getting burned, especially buying a used watch that could be a genuine piece or a very expensive mistake? There are still tells, though they're getting subtler. The classic ones. On a real Rolex, the date window has a small magnifying lens called a cyclops that enlarges the date to fill the bubble. On many fakes, the magnification is weaker and the date looks small and floating. The tiny etched crown at the 6 o'clock position on the crystal, a mark that's extremely hard to reproduce perfectly. The smoothness and precise beat of the second hand, the exact weight, the crispness of the text under magnification. But here's the honest, uncomfortable truth. Against a genuine top-tier superclone, a lot of these home tests will fail you. The only real protection, the only one that reliably works, is provenance. Buy from an authorized dealer or a trusted, established reseller who authenticates and stands behind what they sell, and keep the paper trail. If a deal on a $15,000 watch feels too good to be true in this world, it almost certainly is. And that leads to the bigger, stranger consequence, the one the watch industry really doesn't want to talk about. The superclone doesn't just cheat individual buyers. It quietly poisons the trust that the entire luxury market is built on. The whole value of a genuine luxury watch rests on a shared belief that the one on your wrist is real, that it's rare, that it means something. But when a copy exists that is nearly indistinguishable, that belief starts to crack. If nobody can tell, does the difference still matter? When you see a Rolex across a room now, there's a new little question that never used to be there. Is it real? And once that question exists, it never fully goes away. The counterfeiters, in getting this good, have done something more than steal a design. They've introduced doubt into the one product whose entire purpose was to be certain and permanent and beyond question. So there it is, the super fake. A watch that shares its steel, its crystal, its movement, and its papers with a piece costing 10 times as much. Built by taking the real thing apart and rebuilding it part by part in a factory that exists only to erase the difference. So good that experts hesitate, so cheap that the gap is almost insulting, and so widespread that it's quietly changing what it even means to wear a luxury watch. The little crown was always a symbol of certainty. The superclone's real achievement isn't the steel or the sapphire, it's the doubt. If this opened your eyes, there are dozens more hidden stories inside the watch world, and I tell a new one every week. Subscribe, and I'll see you at the next one.